अरे न्यू टाइम कुछ नहीं है. योर क्लास विल स्टार्ट एट 5:15. वो चटर्जी साहब को पता नहीं था, वो अपना हिसाब से आया, अपना हिसाब से गया. ठीक है. ही केम अराउंड व्हाट टाइम? 5:30 एंड लेफ्ट अराउंड 8:30. ठीक है, चलो कोई बात नहीं. आवर टाइमिंग इज फिक्स्ड. 5:15 यू आर कमिंग एंड विल बी फिनिशिंग एट प्राइमरली 7:30. ठीक है, चलो. हाउ जो क्लास इज टुडे? स्टडी मटेरियल नहीं आ रहा है? Can anybody from your class who is having access to these materials let the know others the procedure of how to go about it? है सारे मटेरियल आ गया, स्टडी मटेरियल क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? सार्थक जरा टाइप कर देना क्या चाहिए तुमको, मैं पढ़ दूंगा इधर. You type it down, I'll read it out. As per my knowledge goes, you goes to study material section, click in July, then you will be getting the materials that is being uploaded. ठीक है. Go to study material, click on July month, then you'll be getting the materials. And don't disturb me every day saying that materials are not available. I am not primarily well versed in computers. I cannot give answer to it. You do one thing, write it to Wajiram. ठीक है. पढ़ाई में कोई प्रॉब्लम हुआ मेरे को पूछना. हाँ, जुलाई गुंजन बोला जुलाई में है, अगस्त में भी है, दोनों देख लो. चलो. अच्छा, लेट मी स्टार्ट. क्या वीडियो नहीं दिख रहा है? हाँ, जुलाई अगस्त सितंबर तीनों क्लिक करके देखो, सारे मटेरियल मिल जाएगा. ठीक है, चलो. We'll be discussing today on science, scientific method, and critics to it. ठीक है, science, scientific method, and critics to it. Let me just start with science. You know, you all are the students of science. I have never done science in my lifetime. So I think it must have been appropriate for you to teach me what is science than me telling you what is science. Okay? But whatever a little knowledge I do have on science, on the basis of that, हाँ. So मेरे को बार बार तुम लोग डिस्टर्ब कर रहे हो, पता है. मटेरियल 1 मंथ का डाल दो, 2 मंथ का डाल दो, ये सारे तुम लिखो, वजीराम को लिखो. See, material, if I give 1 month material at one go, nobody will be reading it. When materials are given, when a topic is complete, you will make an attempt to read it. So therefore, that's why keeping your interest in mind, these materials and supplementary materials, Wajiram is sending, booklets to you by your postal address. Concentrate on class discussion, and that is more important. After 2-3 topics are over, you will be realizing. So more than materials, what is relevant is your class notes. ठीक है? हाँ. So to me, science is an organized body of knowledge where facts are related to each other. ठीक है? Science is an organized body of knowledge where facts are related to each other. Any scientific discipline you go for, you will be finding out, organizing facts one with the other, science primarily give a kind of conclusion. For example, science will say that hydrogen 2 unit, oxygen 1 unit makes water. It's not a philosophy. It's not coming out of assumption. It's just an organized body of facts. It is being investigated. It is being investigated, reinvestigated. And on the basis of the facts, they have arrived at a conclusion. Therefore, any science for that matter you look into, physics you look into, astronomy you look into, biology you look into. So every scientific statement is nothing but an organized body of what? Facts. In human body, suppose you find out 260 bones based upon facts. Solar system, you have how many planets? 8 planets based upon facts. Therefore, everything is based upon facts when you speak about science. Okay? Science makes an orderly prediction. Okay? Scientific predictions are orderly predictions. Okay? When I say scientific predictions are orderly predictions, you look into meteorological department. When meteorological department is predicting about monsoon, it is absolutely based upon what? Facts. So organizing the facts, looking into the kind of winds, they primarily make a kind of prediction that monsoon will be good, or monsoon will be moderate, or monsoon will be primarily disturb monsoon. Therefore, every scientific explanation is based upon orderly prediction. अरे वॉल्यूम बढ़ा दो जरा, ठीक है. Science, number 3, is self-corrective in character. The most important element of science, feature of science. Science is self-corrective in character. Every scientific truth is subjected to scrutiny. ठीक है? Therefore, be careful. ये point बड़ा important है. Scientific truth is not eternal truth. Scientific truth is not a form of belief. ये sentence याद रखना. Scientific truth is not eternal truth. Scientific truth is not a form of belief. क्या बोल रहा हूं समझ में आ रहा है? People with belief will find it difficult to accept scientific truth. If I believe that Ram has constructed this setu, no scientific generalization, no scientific analysis can change my opinion. Therefore, people carrying faith will not be accepting to the wisdom of what? Science. Therefore, faith and science stands opposite to each other. Science will always be subjected to scrutiny, revision, amendments, or modification. Because every scientific truth is based upon what? Facts. If facts keep changing, then scientific truth or scientific conclusion will be open to change. Therefore, the difference between philosophy and science is that ideology and science is that ideology is a matter of faith. It has made inroads into your mind. But in the context of science, it is factual. If evidence are changing, then conclusions are changing, and you are not emotionally connected to it. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? So therefore, law of gravity can also be questioned. Law of thermodynamics can be questioned. Everything can be questioned in science. Therefore, science and its beauty is that it is open to criticism, open to correction, open to primarily scrutiny. ठीक है? So 3 एलिमेंट बताया. क्या क्या बताया? क्या बताया? Science is an organized body of knowledge where facts are related to each other. Therefore, science is based upon what? Facts. ठीक है? Second क्या बताया? Second क्या बताया? Science is self-corrective in character. Therefore, every scientific truth can be subjected to public scrutiny, it will be subjected to amendment. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Therefore, science is self-corrective in character. Therefore, science is different from ideology. It is different from faith. And बताया, scientific conclusions are orderly conclusions. Science make orderly predictions possible. And these predictions are also based upon not faith and belief. These predictions are based upon what? Facts and evidence. Okay? Next. Science is objective in character. Okay? Empirically verifiable observation is foundation to science. Empirically verifiable observation are foundation to science. Kal Professor Chatterjee must have discussed with you about quantitative method. पढ़ा थे कल की नहीं? कल थे क्लास में कि नहीं? So quantitative method means what? Data, statistical data, empirical evidence. So one thing you remember, foundation to science is empirically observable facts. Understand not? Science is empirical in character. The data that you can see, data you can touch, data of which validity and reliability can be tested. Such kind of data are foundation to science. Therefore, science is comprehensively objective in character. Understanding or not? Respiratory system and its parts, subparts, everything is being subjected to scientific scrutiny. Therefore, science is based upon data which are not only empirical, their authenticity, their reliability, their validity are primarily being checked. Therefore, science is what in character? Objective in character. Okay? You know, when I speak that science is objective in character, I'll be saying that the evidence that is used in the domain of science, it's so greatly different from testimonial evidence. Okay? The evidence that is used in science, which evidence? Empirically verifiable evidence. So the evidence used in the domain of science are different from testimonial evidence. Speculative evidence. अरे बोल रहा हूं फिर तो वही जल्दीबाजी कर रहे हो. Testimonial evidence. It is different from speculative evidence. Okay? What is testimonial evidence? Testimonial evidence, speculative evidence, और एक एविडेंस है circumstantial evidence. ठीक है? तीन एविडेंस, they are not science. Speculative evidence, speculative evidence, and testimonial evidence. ठीक है? Speculative evidence, when I'm talking about it here, I would be indicating about beliefs. ठीक है? Speculative evidence is based upon beliefs. Example दे रहा हूं सुनो. When I was a child, I was told that ghost lives in the banyan tree which is close to my house. ठीक है? So the statement was given to me by my grandfather. And I carried this as fact. ठीक है? Considering this as fact, if I remember my childhood, I never ventured close to that banyan tree. After evening, I have never remembered that I have gone close to that banyan tree, thinking that ghost along with his family is living in the banyan tree. So they may be primarily making my life miserable. I used to avoid that place. Which evidence is this? Speculative. Faith. So therefore, most of the time, our life is driven by the speculative evidence. We believe in that. And something interesting happened. See, when he told me that there is ghost, an image of ghost was created in my mind. The narratives that my grandmother used to give, that ghost look like this. So a kind of image that developed in my mind. When I grew up in age, I realized that these are all primarily stupidity. They are not supported by authentic facts. So I never believed that there is spirit present, there is ghost present. So I didn't believe in that. So when my son was born, I took him to my native village. My mother also told my son, don't go close to that banyan tree, there is ghost present. So he came and told me, Papa, there is ghost present. I'll not be going there. I said, ghosts do not exist. Understand? So see his reaction. So he will be of your age or a little more than senior to you. So at that time, a television serial आता था, आहट. ठीक है. So that serial was primarily ghost serial. And he calls one day to me and tell, Papa, you lied me. I said, how? Now see, ghosts are there. They're real. And ghosts do look like this. Okay? The perception you see in the television screen may be converted as a real perception in your psychic state of mind. I was speechless. Because if I tell him that ghost doesn't exist, he will not accept it. Because in front of him, there is the image of a ghost. I don't know whether his opinion about the ghost has changed so far or not. But what I mean to say is that these speculative, primarily narratives, are given to us generations after generation. And we mostly consider these speculative narratives as true. And that Max Weber called as cultural common sense, said by the people. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? तुमको पढ़ाऊंगा जब आगे साइंस पढ़ाऊंगा तो how people not only speak about ghost, they analyze ghost on the basis of their gender, their caste, inject different kinds of powers to them, dedicate different kinds of rituals in their glory. Therefore, through this study of ghost, you can study their collective psychology. You can study their individual behavior. Therefore, what we consider as nonsense, that may be a treasure to the culture of the people. Therefore, respecting to people's culture, you can make sense of their behavior. You can make sense of their society. Okay, come back to the track. So there are three kinds of evidence. Science outrightly rejects which evidence? Speculative evidence. Therefore, looking at the sky, a scientist will never say there are clouds in the sky, therefore it may rain. He'll be completely studying the climate to predict whether there'll be rainfall or not. Understanding or not? Understanding or not? Therefore, science and speculative evidence, they go in parallel direction. Second is circumstantial evidence. ये पुलिस वाला ज्यादा यूज करते हैं. ठीक है? Science never accepts the circumstantial evidence. Suppose in front of somebody's house, a man is being killed. Okay? When you become a police officer, so you will be first going for circumstantial evidence. Then you'll be looking for witness and their account. ये सारे करते हो. ठीक है? Circumstantial evidence means since in front of somebody's house, murder is being committed, needle of suspicion will be going towards the member of that family. तुम्हारा घर का सामने हुआ है, हाउ डोंट यू नो इट? नीडल ऑफ सस्पिशन इज डायरेक्टेड टुवर्ड्स यू, थाना में आ जाओ, इंट्रोगेशन विल बी देयर. Science tells this is stupid. You have to primarily establish who has committed the crime, not by primarily identifying people on the basis of speculations, circumstantial evidence. To know who has committed the crime, you have to go for polygraphy test, lie detector test. There is a scientific machine present, scientific instrument present. Use that scientific technology to identify who has committed the crime or not. Don't unnecessarily, primarily what? Harass innocent people. So therefore, if you look into circumstantial primarily evidence, looking into a circumstances, you should not be jumping into conclusion. For example, a group of people standing in front of the temple carrying ritual items in hand. Don't jump into the conclusion that they all are waiting for their turn to come so that they can perform ritual. If you are primarily applying which method? Scientific method. If you are a man of science, you will be saying that I should go and see what the people are doing, only then I'll be arriving at the conclusion. Therefore, don't primarily judge a book by its cover. Circumstance देख के तुम conclude मत करो. You have to give conclusion to everything on the basis of hard facts. Therefore, circumstantial evidence do not have any place in the field of what? Scientific research. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Yes or no? So two kinds of evidence are rejected. One is speculative evidence and second is circumstantial evidence. ठीक है? Speculative evidence is based upon faith. Speculative evidence is based upon religion. Understand not? And circumstantial evidence is based upon common sense, based upon logic. Okay? They also reject to testimonial evidence. ये सारे चलता है, कोर्ट में ज्यादा चलता है, टेस्टिमोनियल एविडेंस. आई एम टेकिंग ओथ इन द नेम ऑफ गीता. Whatever I'll speak, I'll be speaking the truth. Ultimately, what they speak is full of lies. कोई मतलब है इसका? Understanding or not? So therefore, testimonial evidence, तुम जिंदगी भर testimonial evidence, I swear. पता है, swear करके सारे झूठ बोलोगे, क्योंकि दोस्ती खराब नहीं होना चाहिए. So this testimonial evidence, they are not appreciated by science. There's a scientific evidence must be based upon facts. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? No speculative judgment, no testimonial evidence, no primarily what? Circumstantial evidence is acceptable in science. Therefore, what is science? Empirically verifiable facts are the heart and soul of science. ठीक है? समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Therefore, science is empirical, empirically verifiable facts, validity and reliability of which are tested. So they are only the core and foundation to science. Therefore, science rejects to all other possible kind of knowledge. Cultural knowledge, assumptive knowledge, your psychic primarily predispositions, everything is being rejected by science. ठीक है? Science is rational in character. Science is rational in character. ये rational क्या है? Rational क्या होता है? Science is rational in character. Rational क्या होता है? Reason, very good. Reasonable, हाँ, science, logic. Scientific decisions are always based upon reasoning and logic. And scientific conclusions are based upon reasoning and logic, जैसे तुमको बताया था. If you see, Water is freezing in 0 degree temperature. Applying this scientific reasoning, you will say, what? क्या conclude करोगे? Water has molecules, special kind of molecules, which will be freezing at 0 degree temperature. Same molecules you are not finding out in a piece of stone or in a piece of wood. So therefore, they will not be freezing at 0 degree temperature. Therefore, ये जो conclusion तुम दे रहे हो, looking into primarily change in the state of water, liquid था अभी solid हो गया, ice हो गया. So when the state of water is changing, so experimenting it, observing it, you are developing a scientific generalization, scientific reasoning. What is that reasoning? That molecules are present in water, so which will be making it freeze in 0 degree temperature. And these molecules are not present in wood or not present in stone. Therefore, scientific conclusions are always based upon reasoning, logicality. Therefore, we always say that science is what? Science is what? Since it is primarily driven by reasoning, since it is driven by logicality, so always we primarily consider the science is rational in character. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? पहले से बता दो, what is science? Empirical means based upon facts which are tangible, which are visible, which are observable, which are repetitive. Bolo. What are the features of science? Organized body of facts. Understand not? Science is organized body of facts related to each other. Science is primarily what? Science is what? बोलते जाओ. Science is what? Make orderly prediction possible. ठीक है? Science is empirically verifiable facts. Therefore, rejecting to speculative evidence, circumstantial evidence, and testimonial evidence. And science is rational in character. And science is always open to skepticism, criticism, and self-correction. These are the fundamental features of science. Okay? When I speak about science, I'll be finding out scientific laws are developed. Scientific laws are developed on the basis of logic and reasoning. Okay? Therefore, science is primarily universal in character. Okay? Scientific laws are developed on the basis of logic and reasoning. Therefore, science is universal in character. इसलिए साइंस को we says that science is nomethetic. Nomethetic. इसको पढ़ाऊंगा अभी डिटेल्स में थोड़ी देर में. नोमेथेटिक. ठीक है? दोबारा रिपीट कर रहा हूं. Scientific laws are developed on the basis of reasoning and logic. Since it is based upon reasoning and logic, we develop universal laws in science. Since science goes for universal laws, therefore we consider science is nomethetic. और एक बार बोल रहा हूं, nomethetic is a discipline where universal laws can be developed. उल्टा करके बोल रहा हूं. वो डिसिप्लिन को तुम nomethetic बोलोगे where laws can be developed which are universally applied to. ठीक है? And in order to develop this kind of law, you have to go for logic and reasoning. Data collection करोगे, you will apply logic and reasoning to it. On the basis of that, you develop law, and that law is universally valid. ठीक है? ज्यादा साइंस तुमको पता है. P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. बोलो विद्वान, बिना बताओ क्या है इसका मतलब. लॉ ऑफ थर्मोडायनामिक्स. सही है ना? अरे सही है. हाँ सही है, मैं बोल दिया सही. So P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. P stands for Boyle's law, pressure. ठीक है? V for volume. सही बोल रहा हूँ कि नहीं बोल रहा हूँ? Understanding not? So if temperature is changing, then pressure and volume will change. P1, V1, pressure, volume 1, pressure 1, volume 1, understand not, will be primarily changing when there is a change in temperature. By chance, if I'm correct, I don't know. So if this is the law, this law is not only applicable to your mother's kitchen, where she is finding out very, very difficulty in primarily make the gas supply to be smooth in winter because she is living in Kashmir. Temperature has fallen down. This law is universally applicable. And this law is developed on the basis of logic and reasoning. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? इसको छोड़ दो, सारा एग्जाम्पल दे दो, मेरे को आता है जो लॉ ऑफ ग्रेविटिविटी. न्यूटन ने बैठा था पेड़ का नीचे, apple घिरा. He never wrote a poetry on apple. He's not John Donne. Understand not? When he saw that apple is falling, he started thinking about it, logical thinking. Human reasoning is attached to it. फिर पत्थर फेंका, नीचे आया. Then he himself jumped. He also fell on the ground. And on the basis of that reflexivity and logicality, he made a conclusion. There must be something present in the earth that is attracting everything towards its direction. Therefrom came the law of gravitivity. क्या एप्पल का नाम दिख रहा है तुमको? स्टोन का नाम दिख रहा है? नहीं. So this law stands universally valid. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Therefore, scientific laws are based upon data, facts. But on the basis of this fact, you apply your logic, you apply your, logic, reasoning you apply to it. And on the basis of that, you develop law. When studying something, you develop universal law, then you are known as science. And that discipline is known as nomethetic discipline. What is nomethetic discipline? A discipline that is primarily developing universal laws based upon an empirical observation. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Therefore, science develops laws on the basis of reflexivity and reasoning based upon the empirical evidence. Therefore, science is otherwise known as nomethetic discipline because of the methodology it is using. Therefore, where scientific method is used, their discipline will be called as what? Nomethetic discipline. इसको आगे elaborate करूंगा. ठीक है? आ गया समझ में? Next. When you conduct a scientific research, okay, so you will be open to what? When a scientist is conducting a research, so he should always be open to what? Scientific research when you are conducting, you should be open to what? Sir, पांच चीज बताओ. In every stage of scientific research, you should be extremely careful. If you are a little careless, then you will be primarily missing out the truth. मेरा एक दोस्त है केमिस्ट्री का प्रोफेसर, जब भी देखो अपना लैबोरेटरी में बैठता है ऐसे जैसे बैठता है. मछली पकड़ने का टाइम, the way fisherman sits. Because a simple error here and there will be affecting to result. But we sociologists, when we go to conduct research and stay with the people for 2 years, we play with them, eat with them, understand not? इनका साथ घूमते रहते हैं. We are not primarily that focused. The way scientists are supposed to be focused. If he is not focused, कभी भी laboratory में blast हो सकता है. कभी the result you are primarily finding out is not primarily similar to what you got in terms of experimentation. Therefore, in every stage of scientific research, a researcher should be primarily what? Focused. Otherwise, the findings may go wrong. Accidents may happen. And most importantly, a researcher, while conducting a scientific research, he should be open to primarily self-criticism, self-doubt. Says therefore self-doubt is the essential ingredient of science. What I have done, have I done it rightly? All steps of science, is it followed? Therefore, scientist will be first open to criticize his primarily own findings. Therefore, science is driven by the principle of self-doubt. Scientific truth is open to primarily public scrutiny. This is my finding, गालियां देना है तो दे दो. If you find out any limitations in my approach, please tell me. Therefore, a scientist is primarily opening up his research to everybody. Find out the limitation, give criticisms, give your observations and inputs. I am open to primarily correct it. Understanding or not? Therefore, science is open to criticism. Science is open to public scrutiny. Science requires a kind of complete focused attention. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Therefore, the truth comes that becomes universally acceptable. You cannot have universally common opinion about how the government is doing, but you have a common opinion about the fact there are 8 planets in the solar system. Because before arriving at this truth that there are 8 planets in the solar system, debate, discussion, self-criticism, new data, so everything is being taken into consideration. Therefore, understanding or not, the truth is getting universal acceptance. Understanding or not? So therefore, what are the features of science? Bolte jao. Science is an organized body of knowledge where facts are related to each other. Second, science makes orderly prediction. Science is self-corrective in nature. Science is objective, reject to this kind of evidence. Science is rational. Science make laws on the basis of reflexivity and reasoning and logicality. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? And most importantly, science requires primarily what? Focused attention. Science should be open to criticism. Science should be primarily driven by self-doubt. And ultimately, the conclusion arrived by science is getting universal applicability. Thus, we consider science is nomethetic. आया समझ में? ये हो गया व्हाट इज साइंस. ठीक है, इसको और थोड़ा सा आगे लेके जाएंगे. What science is that science is not. थोड़ा सा सुनो, आगे बढ़ा रहा हूं इसको. Therefore, all the features of science I discussed with you. Understanding not? So these features of science I am going to question now. तुमको भूल गया बताने के लिए. Yesterday, one of my student, who is the collector or additional collector of a district in Jharkhand, so he wrote a piece in newspaper, and he wrote in that newspaper. Thank you, Suno. He wrote in that newspaper that most of sociology I have done in the class, I am putting them into practice now. Therefore, sociology I read for UPSC and cleared the UPSC and got into IAS. But most of the sociology I studied in the classroom, that I am now primarily using as a district collector. Understanding or not? So what I am telling you, why I am telling you, and there he is writing a statement. अरे वो clipping पढ़ा है क्या तुम्हारे पास? देखा ना जरा बच्चों. He is writing. मेरे को ज्यादा हिंदी नहीं आता है, but I made an attempt to read it. If you can read it, it will be good for you. It will be motivating you. दिख रहा है कुछ? अरे दिख नहीं रहा है उनको. चलो हम पढ़ते रहेंगे, जो आएगा दिखाएगा. See, he writes there that I was a student of science when I joined the class. दिखा रहा हूँ, देखा, मेरे को खुद आता थोड़ी ना है, ये तो लेके दिखा रहे हैं क्या कर रहे हैं। बता रहे एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑल्सो टेक्निकल क्या करते मेरे को आता नहीं कुछ। नहीं तो छोड़ दो, टाइम खराब हो रहा है। हो रहा है नहीं तो इधर दिखा दो फिर, राम को बताओ इधर दिखा दें, कर दें। ये दिख रहा है कुछ, दिख रहा है? मेरे को क्या आता है इसको? जो काम का बात है इधर कहाँ लिखा है? मेरे को कौन सा आता है पढ़ना? हाँ, ये लिखा है, विज्ञान का छात्र रहे हैं, इसमें किसी विषय वस्तु अथवा चीजों को देखने का नजरिया वैज्ञानिक आधारित होता है, परंतु जब आप आईएएस जैसे बड़ा प्रशासनिक सेवा में जाते हैं तो आपका अलग अलग पहलुओं से चीजों को समझना पड़ता है और बेहतर निष्कर्ष निकाल कर निर्णय लेना होता है, ताकि समाज का अंतिम व्यक्ति तक न केवल योजनाएं के लाभ पहुंचे, बल्कि किसी भी अधिकारियों को, आगे कुछ मेरे को नहीं पढ़ना आता है, चयन किए गए संबोधित संविधान व्यक्ति को प्रति न्याय किया जा सके। जब मैं दिल्ली स्थित फलाना फलाना आईएएस का तैयारी करता था, उस सेंटर में से, चलो चलो छोड़ो इसको, ये है। चलो बंद करो इसको, पढ़ना है, पढ़ाई करना है। बंद कर दो, बंद करो, पढ़ाई करेंगे। So, so what I'm telling you, you all are the student of science. Your condition is same like his condition was when he was a student. Because science students look at everything in terms of black and white. And sociology opens up your mind. Okay? Sociology tells that everything you look at is based upon how you think it to be, how your culture trains you to look at that. You can see God within a stone because your culture has primarily, structured your mind in that particular way. Understanding or not? So therefore, be careful. What I'm discussing here, scientific research primarily tells, I saw this, therefore this is this. So what they see as facts, that they explain as reality. But हम तो अलग हैं. हम क्या बोलते हैं? Smile is not smile is not smile. Science will say when you smile, your upper lips is moving by 2 centimeters, lower lips is not moving at all, so that is called as smiles. If both the lips are moving, it is laugh. But we say smile can be satirical smile. It can be ethical smile. It can be aesthetic smile. Or it can be killing smile. कुछ भी हो सकता है. Therefore, smile needs a mind to interpret. जैसे देखोगे नजरिया वैसे ही है. Understanding or not? So in class, when I see you are smiling, I may be getting a feel that I am teaching primarily well, you are understanding, therefore you are smiling. But maybe somebody sitting in the class, बोला क्या पढ़ा रहा है यार, कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है. Satirical smile. So therefore, don't primarily judge a book by its cover. Don't go by the superficial value of what you see. Therefore, science is great, no doubt in that. Scientific research without which we cannot sustain even today. The vaccine we get to get rid of corona is product of science. And we cannot primarily do anything about it as sociologists. But sociology is sociology. Science is science. Don't look at society from scientific perspective. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Look at matter from scientific perspective, disease from scientific perspective, fraud management from scientific perspective. But don't primarily discuss Ganesh Puja from scientific perspective. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? उत्तपम dosa from scientific perspective. उत्तपम dosa समझ में आ रहा है? I eat that food because I love it. I love it because my grandmother loved it. And you don't ask me the question why I love it. I love it because I love it. Their science will not be primarily what? Useful. So we'll be discussing that in detail. So this is all are the features of science. I made a statement with you that what science is, that science is not. इसमें मैं तुमको हिस्ट्री ऑफ साइंस थोड़ा सा पढ़ा रहा हूं, so that when you get an essay on science, you can be incorporating to it. So before the arrival of science, about everything, people were developing ideas. तो इसलिए मैं बार बार बोलता हूं, the material from out of which science comes is the same material from out of which philosophy comes. ठीक है? The material from out of which science comes is the same material from out of which philosophy comes, ethics comes. Understand not? Everything comes out of that. And that material is what? Mind. It is from mind, there from culture comes, religion comes, aesthetics comes, science comes. Therefore, that is mind. Okay? When science was not there, I have discussed that with you earlier, people were explaining everything on the basis of what? Their mind. इसको बोलते हैं philosophy. Therefore, philosophy is the mother of all disciplines, all primarily what? Knowledge. All branches of knowledge are tracing their origin from philosophy, from mind. Okay? So when science was not there, there are two kinds of philosophers by 18th century. One were social philosophers, others were natural philosophers. Origin of science का बात कर रहा हूं. Till 18th century, there was only philosophy, there was no science. And there were two kinds of philosophers. One were natural philosophers, and second were social philosophers. Natural philosophers were primarily developing philosophy about star, moon, climate. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? They were developing philosophy about water bodies, philosophy about star and moon, solar systems. They're developing this kind of philosophy. And social philosophers, be careful. They were looking into the limits of the existential state and thinking about how a better state and better society can evolve. Okay? Social philosophers were developing what? Social philosophers were developing philosophy, analyzing the problems of the existential state, monarchical state, tyrannical state, and developing a philosophy how a new society can be developed where people can be happy, justice can be guaranteed to them, they can live peacefully, their property will be protected, and so on. And who were getting a lot of respect? Natural philosophy was discussing about the things which are having no direct connectivity with the life of the people. Star क्या हो रहा है, moon में क्या हो रहा है. People don't have any kind of direct benefit from science. Therefore, social philosophers were commanding more respect than natural philosophers. इसलिए जॉन लॉक ने बताया 1793 में, नेचुरल फिलोसफी कैन नेवर बी साइंस. समझ में आ रहा है? He said natural philosophy can never be science. What is truly science is social philosophy. Because I am imagining about a better state. जॉन लॉक पढ़ाया था तुमको. जॉन लॉक हुआ, माकियावेली हुआ, समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है, हेगेल हुए. तो ऑल दीज ग्रेट स्कॉलर्स ऑफ एनलाइटनमेंट were introspecting the problems of existential society, then they were preparing a roadmap for the making of a better society. Therefore, they were giving intellectual guidelines for the making of a better society. Therefore, John Locke ने sentence लिखे, natural philosophy cannot be science. Only social philosophy can be respected as science because they have direct impact on the life of the people. इसका बाद क्या हुआ? न्यूटन आए, गैलीलियो आए, कोपरनिकस आए, फ्रांसिस बेकन आए, and they discovered laws of science. But by that time, John Locke was not present. Therefore, natural philosophy drifted away from social philosophy. Understanding or not? Natural philosophy drifted away from social philosophy. And natural philosophy established itself as science. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? By 1850 to 1830, you will be finding out not only science has evolved through the contribution of these scholars, but science started producing technology. Steam engine you talk about, transportation you talk about. So science started primarily producing technology. And the technology revolutionized man's life. Printing press आ गया, steam engine आ गया, समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Books were published, transportation revolution हुआ. Understand not? Telecommunication field में primarily revolution हुआ. You find out when science is making meaningful contribution to man's life, then people started celebrating what? Science. And once what science did? Science primarily facilitated people to exploit nature to human advantage. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? कोल हुआ, पेट्रोलियम प्रोडक्ट हुआ, they generated energy that ran primarily what? Industry made mass production, lot of money came, affluency came into prominence, new medical discoveries came into prominence, inventions were primarily made, quality of life, understand not, of human beings changed. इसीलिए मैं बोलता हूं 19th century was the century of what? Science. ठीक है? तो John Locke was not surviving by that time. Otherwise, he could have primarily withdrawn his statements. Not only science is primarily existent, but science is bringing revolutionary change in the life of man. Therefore, एक sentence बोलता हूं, what science is to 18th century, that science is not to 19th century. Science was just a philosophy trying to compete with natural philosophy, but it failed. In 19th century, scientific laws not only developed, science and scientists revolutionized the quality of life of man. So technology transformed the life of man. Therefore, science was celebrated 19th century. इसलिए क्या हुआ? Since 19th century was the century of science, all disciplines which were born in 19th century, they wanted themselves to be called as science. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? कुछ समझ में आ रहा है? अभी जैसे मोदी साहब का राज चल रहा है, everybody wants to be primarily identified with his ideology, philosophy, party. So similarly, when science was celebrated, every discipline was trying to primarily identify themselves as science. And sociology was no exception. Therefore, early sociologists, early sociologists call their discipline as science. Therefore, one school of thought developed, जिसका नाम है बताया था तुमको, जिसका नाम है encyclopedic approach, positivist. They said sociology as a science. आगे पढ़ोगे, समझ में आया? 20th century was a century where science was subjected to criticism. Because during this period, बोलो, during this period क्या हुआ था? कुछ तो very good. During this period, science produced warheads, using which we fought war against each other. Therefore, science gave way to mass destruction. First World War, Second World War. Science and scientists were employed by the state and the corporates. साइंटिस्ट ए, साइंटिस्ट बी, साइंटिस्ट सी आजकल काम करते हैं गवर्नमेंट का साथ. Understanding not? And these scientists, those who are paid by the state, are producing that what state wants them to produce. Therefore, science is being colonized. Working for industrialists, scientists are either working for industrialists or scientists are working for government. Understanding not? Therefore, the responsibility of science to primarily what? Promote the well-being of the masses. So that is nowhere there in the picture. Understanding or not? So therefore, you will be finding out that science and its limits are greatly highlighted by 20th century scholars. Understanding or not? So therefore, science has been subjected to evolution. What science was, that science is not. Understand not? In 21st century, what is science? आज का डेट में साइंस क्या है? आज का डेट में साइंस क्या है? इसको ढंग से बोलो, सही बोल रहे हो. बिग डाटा यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, ड्रोन यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. So इसको ढंग से बोलो. Digitization is correct. So science is what? Artificial intelligence, very good. इसको कैसे ढंग से लिखोगे कैसे? What is science? Nanotechnology, very good. All these are correct. What is science? एक सेंटेंस बोल रहा हूं. Science that is a product of human mind is dominating over human mind, human intelligence. Science that is a product of human intelligence is now dominating over human intelligence. Supercomputers are much more intelligent than any of us. Understanding or not? Using science, you can predict anything. मैंने अभी देखा. Understanding or not? मेरा कंप्यूटर का सारे डाटा जो है एक क्लिक कर दिया, इधर आ गया. I was stunned. बता सर वाईफाई में कनेक्ट कर देना, मैंने कनेक्ट कर दिया. करने के बाद जितना मेरा डाटा है सर यहां पे आ गया. बाप रे. Therefore, science has primarily destroyed or eliminated the distinction between public and private. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? So whatever you are discussing here, that one can primarily read sitting in the Parliament House. Surveillance I'm talking about. Nothing is private. Your independence is primarily gone. So all our data, big data का बात हो रहा है. Our food, our taste, our education, our experience, all these data are collected from us in different ways that is stored and used by the people on the basis of their convenience. So your needs, your requirements that they study, and on the basis of that, you get telephone calls. सारे लोन लेंगे, सारे प्रोडक्ट लेंगे, सारे कॉस्मेटिक्स लेंगे, because they know what we love to primarily consume. So therefore, human freedom is gone. Mind is enslaved. Understanding not? So therefore, bolo, technological aggression is becoming essential part of our life. Therefore, science, what it was during 19th century, 18th century, so that is not science what it is today. तो इसीलिए मैंने जो बताया, these are the features of science. Understanding not? So these features of science are general features of science, but science has gone through evolution. We cannot develop an effective universal element of science that can be applied to science across centuries. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? तो इसीलिए इसको जब ऐसे आएगा तुम्हारा साइंस के ऊपर, साइंस इज ए ब्लेसिंग एंड साइंस इज ए ब्लिस एज वेल. You can write this as the introduction part. What science was, that science is not, and that is not the future of science. देखो, science, how is primarily science challenging, questioning to nature? बताओ. एक बच्चा चाहिए जिसका बाल अमेरिकन जैसे होगा, नाक जैसे होगा जर्मन का, दिमाग होगा इंडियन का. समझ में आए? डिजाइनर बेबी. जैसे होटल में जाके यू गिव प्राइमरी रिक्विजिशन फॉर फूड, यू गो टू प्राइमरली पर्टिकुलर सेंटर, एंड दे रिप्रोडक्टिव सेंटर में जाके इसको एक लिस्ट दे दोगे, मेरे को ये बच्चा चाहिए, एंड ड्यूरेशन भी फिक्स कर लोगे. 5-6 मंथ्स में बच्चा चाहिए, कोई बात नहीं, हम कर लेंगे. फर्टिलाइजेशन इसके में लैबोरेटरी में करके दे देंगे बच्चा, एंड चाइल्ड विल बी डिलीवर्ड. पार्सल में आ जाएगा घर पे. योर बच्चा इज डिलीवर्ड एट योर डोर स्टेप. जैसे पिज्जा डिलीवरी होता है. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं? ये आगे होने वाला है. सो बच्चा इज इक्विवेलेंट टू पिज्जा. ओनली डिफरेंस इज पिज्जा यू कैन ईट एंड बच्चा विल बी प्लेइंग विथ. बताओ, ये बच्चा जब पैदा होगा, कैन यू गेट इमोशनल कनेक्ट विद द चाइल्ड? बच्चा का कोई इंजुरी हो गया, कोई नहीं, और एक मंगा लेंगे पिज्जा मार्केट से, पैसा है. अफेक्शन, इमोशन, कनेक्टिविटी, मेंटल प्राइमरी कनेक्ट विल बी मिसिंग आउट. दैट इज व्हाट साइंस हैज गिवन. ये जो सत्यानाश साइंस आजकल आ गया, बोलो इसको क्या नाम है? अरे आता है इसमें टेलीफोन पे, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस बोलते हो. अरे मेरा पानी ग्लास ले आओ, रिमाइंडर, बताओ टेलीफोन नंबर कहाँ है. इफ यू आर सो मच प्राइमरली डिपेंडेंट, अलेक्सा, हाँ अलेक्सा बोलो, अंडरस्टैंडिंग इट नॉट? कॉल दिस नंबर सिरी, कॉल दिस नंबर सिरी, सिरी विल बी कॉलिंग. देयर वाज अ पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, half the telephone number of the people those who are known to me was there in my head. मेरा अपना टेलीफोन नंबर अभी याद नहीं मेरे को, thanks to technology. Therefore technology has colonized my mind or not? कोई भी चीज का स्पेलिंग गलत हो रहा है आजकल प्रोफेसर होने का बाद. इससे बड़ा शर्म का बात क्या हो सकता है? बिकॉज यू आर सो ग्रेटली यूज्ड टू प्राइमरी दिस कंप्यूटर अपना आप ठीक कर देता है. And I remember those days when we were writing primary thesis, 5 times professor will be correcting it. 5 times we have to rewrite in hand. Typist will be typing it. तुम्हारा साथ कहाँ हो पाएगा? तुम्हारा बच्चा जो आएंगे चंदन धरी आएंगे, यू ना इसे लिखेंगे यू. माँ बोलेगा हाँ इट इज करेक्ट, बाप बोलेगा डबल करेक्ट. ये चंदन धरी यू है, तिलक धारी. ठीक है? डेथ ऑफ स्कॉलरशिप एंड डेथ ऑफ नॉलेज. यह है साइंस. Therefore, science has brought revolution, but which kind of revolution we never know. Therefore, what science was, that science is not, and that is not the future of science. आया समझ में? आगे बढ़ो. चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. See, when I speak about science, types of science I'm talking about. इसमें नोमेथेटिक पढ़ाऊंगा, थोड़ा सा आराम से सुनो. When I speak about science, I find out science is largely divided into 2 types. One is natural science and the other is social science. ठीक है? Natural science can further be divided into, इसको पढ़ाने का कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Natural science can further be divided into physical science and biological science. ठीक है? And when social science we are talking about, there are two kinds of social science. One kind of social science develop universal theories, and other kind of social science is going for specific analysis. Okay? Specific analysis, if you look into culture studies, history, jurisprudence, they go for specific analysis. And social science like economics and sociology, we develop universal theories. Okay? There are two kinds of social sciences. One is studying specific, other is studying general. That what is studying general is economics and primarily what? Sociology. Political science also you can bring here. But history you talk about, jurisprudence you talk about, then cultural study you can talk about, they come under specific disciplines. Okay? When you speak about science, you can divide science into two types. One is pure science and second is applied science. Okay? Pure science goes for pursuit of knowledge. नेचुरल साइंस दो टाइप का बताया. वन इज फिजिकल साइंस, तीन भी बोल सकते हो, ऐड कर सकते हो, एक मैथमेटिकल साइंस जोड़ सकते हो. वन इज फिजिकल साइंस एंड सेकेंड इज बायोलॉजिकल साइंस. ठीक है. सोशल साइंस दो टाइप का बताया तुमको. वन इज जनरल, अदर इज स्पेसिफिक. ठीक है. स्पेसिफिक के अंदर में मैंने बताया हिस्ट्री, जूरिस्प्रूडेंस, कल्चर स्टडीज. जनरल में बताया इकोनॉमिक्स, पॉलिटिकल साइंस एंड सोशियोलॉजी. ठीक है. Further, we can divide science into two types. One is pure science and second is what? Applied science. Pure science always goes for pursuit of knowledge. Pure science is concerned about development of theories. Pure science never looks into the impact of the discipline on the everyday life of man. Okay? Pure science only gives you knowledge about the field. Pure science develops theories. Pure science is not fundamentally concerned about application of that knowledge in the everyday life of man. But applied science is looking into application of that knowledge to the life of the people. Okay? So applied science is talking about application of knowledge to the life of the people. Example दे रहा हूं तुमको. Political science is a pure science. इसमें theories of state, theories of government, theories of liberty, types of government, ये सारे इसमें पढ़ोगे. But public administration is the applied part of political science. Public administration में तुम पढ़ोगे how bureaucracy runs. Public administration में you study how local self-government is working. Therefore, application is primarily what? Public administration. Theoretical physics is a pure science. Thermodynamics is applied science. Biology is pure science. Biotechnology is applied part of it. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं रहा? Nanotechnology, applied science. Similarly, theoretical sociology is pure science. इसमें वी आर डिस्कसिंग अबाउट थ्योरीज ऑफ फैमिली, थ्योरीज ऑफ रिलीजन, सोशियोलॉजिकल थ्योरीज, समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? डिबेट बिटवीन मार्क्स एंड डॉर्कहाइम, ये सारे बात करते हैं. But applied sociology is one where our sociological knowledge is applied to tribal welfare, rural development, population, primarily what? Analysis. So applied sociology is using sociological knowledge understand not to the primarily what? Social issues, social problems, or to develop social policies, and so on. Therefore, sociology is different from applied sociology. Mathematics is different from statistics. Political theory is different from political administration. Theoretical physics is different from astrophysics, thermodynamics. Whether social science or natural science we are talking about, they are divided into two types. One is pure science and second is what? Applied science. समझ में? आज का डेट में किसका जमाना चल रहा है? अप्लाइड और प्योर? अप्लाइड. आजकल सारे अप्लाइड साइंस के ऊपर जाते हैं. सो देयरफॉर people going for pure science for the pursuit of knowledge are slowly declining. ठीक है? आया समझ में? हाँ, बताओ. Engineering is what? Engineering is what? बोलो. इंजीनियरिंग इज व्हाट? अरे बोलो. इंजीनियरिंग इज अप्लाइड. क्यों अप्लाइड है? तुम्हारा यूनिवर्सिटी का नाम क्या है? इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज का नाम क्या है? इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी. So technology production and use of this production in the life of the people is known as IIT. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? But Indian Institute of Science, pursuit of knowledge. So science is primarily pure. Technology production is applied part of science. Therefore, most of the engineering you do, अभी बताया, ये जो क्या नाम है इसका? वेंटिलेटर. IIT वाला एक वेंटिलेटर बना दिया. दिल्ली IIT वाले, they made a primarily what? Low costly primarily what? Ventilator. So that the life of the people can be primarily taken, can be saved. Smoke tower, very good. Understanding it not? So that, the smoke, polluting elements can be primarily what? Filtered. ये सारे क्या है? Technology. Therefore, we are more concerned about technology, which can be transforming our life in a positive way. So therefore, applied science is given more importance than theoretical science. Okay? Now come down to the debate on nomethetic and ideographic. There was a philosopher whose name was Immanuel Kant. नाम सुने हो? कैंट साहब ने बोले there is a difference between statement of value and statement of fact. ठीक है? Statement of value is the essence of philosophy. ठीक है? Statement of value is the essence of philosophy because it tells what it ought to be. Philosophy is always predicting something about future. Therefore, statement of value is talking about what it ought to be. ठीक है? स्टेटमेंट ऑफ फैक्ट अच्छे दिन आएंगे. कौन सा स्टेटमेंट? स्टेटमेंट ऑफ वैल्यू. ठीक है? अंडरस्टैंडिंग और नॉट? तो स्टेटमेंट ऑफ वैल्यू इज प्राइमरली थिंकिंग समथिंग अबाउट फ्यूचर. देखो रिलीजन हो गया, कल्चर स्टडीज हो गया, पॉलिटिकल फिलोसफी हो गया, सोशल फिलोसफी हो गया, all these disciplines are concerned about statement of value. ठीक है. Science deals with statement of fact. ठीक है. Science deals with statement of fact. Philosophy deals with statement of value. So therefore Kant बोलते हैं there is a huge gap between these two disciplines. Social philosophy, political philosophy, any philosophy for that matter, is different from science. Because one deals with statement of fact, other deals with statement of value. So don't compare between non-comparables. Because the orientations are different, approaches are different. Therefore, philosophy is duty-bound to think about something that is yet to happen. And science is duty-bound to study something that is there in hand and that exists. Understanding or not? Therefore, these two disciplines are absolutely different. Okay? ये जो डिस्टिंक्शन है इसको फॉर्मलाइज किए द फॉलोअर्स ऑफ कैंट, जिनको हम बोलते हैं नियो कैंटियंस. इसका ऊपर क्वेश्चन बार बार आता है. मैं जब वेबर पढ़ाऊंगा इसको और फर्दर पढ़ाऊंगा. Neo means new, Kantians means Kant. So neo Kantians are the followers of Immanuel Kant. ठीक है. So neo Kantians, they advocate that science is nomethetic. Science is nomethetic. Which science? Natural science. ठीक है. And social philosophy is ideographic. सोशियल फिलोसफी के अंदर में हिस्ट्री आता है, पॉलिटिकल साइंस आता है, सोशियोलॉजी तो था ही नहीं उस टाइम. अंडरस्टैंड नॉट? तो फिलोसफी, हिस्ट्री, जूरिस्प्रूडेंस, कल्चर स्टडी, एवरीथिंग इज प्राइमरली इडियोग्राफिक. ठीक है. तो साइंस इज नोमेथेटिक एंड ऑल नॉन साइंस डिसिप्लिन्स आर इडियोग्राफिक because there is a possibility of imagination. Possibility of your own value may be primarily what? Influencing to your research. Therefore, only science is nomethetic and non-science disciplines, जितना सारे philosophical disciplines है, literature है, everything is ideographic. ठीक है? So therefore, knowledge is divided into two different groups. One is nomethetic discipline, other is ideographic discipline. ठीक है. समझ में आया? पॉजिटिविस्ट क्या बोलेंगे? इसको अप्रिशिएट करेंगे? पॉजिटिविस्ट आर हु कंसीडर सोशियोलॉजी एज ए साइंस. नहीं, पॉलिटिकल साइंस में भी इडियोग्राफिक, हिस्ट्री में भी इडियोग्राफिक, बट सोशियोलॉजी, हम तो साइंस है, इसलिए हम कौन है? नोमेथेटिक. I'm not discussing that now because you'll be confused at this point of time. So therefore, neo-Kantians advocate there are two different branches of knowledge. Science is nomethetic and philosophy, history, then political science, culture studies, all this jurisprudence, all disciplines are what? Idiographic. Because contingent factors are there. Contingent factors means one cannot say that socialism is going to promote happiness for everybody. We wrote a theory that socialism is a dream society which will be bringing happiness for everybody. देखा तो दूसरा कुछ हो रहा है, चाइना तो दूसरा कुछ कर रहा है. हमने लिखा थ्योरी, डेमोक्रेसी इज द बेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट. डोनाल्ड ट्रंप आ गया. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? तो इसीलिए when you are doing sociology, when you are doing political science, history, contingent factors happen. Our conclusions are not substantiated. So therefore, all social science will be ideographic and science will be nomethetic. Okay? Understanding or not? But this argument of neo-Kantians are subsequently contradicted by early sociologists, इतना याद रखो, who say sociology is a science. Therefore, sociology को ऊपर चढ़ा रहा है. They are saying sociology is also nomethetic. इसको बाद में डिटेल्स में पढ़ोगे. What is nomethetic? Nomethetic studies give importance on fact number one. Nomethetic disciplines goes for quantitative method. पढ़ाए थे चटर्जी साहब काल. You only collect data from quantitative manner. Your data is reliable, validated. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? अभी तुमको बताया थोड़ी देर पहले. Circumstantial evidence, no. Testimonial evidence, no. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? So all these evidence, they don't have space in sociology. Sociology is objective. Sociology is rational. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Sociology is enjoying value freedom. So therefore sociology is a science. ये साइंस हमारा टाइटल क्या होना चाहिए? नोमेथेटिक और इडियोग्राफिक? नोमेथेटिक. तो हिस्ट्री वाला थोड़ा सा बदमाश करते हैं, लिख देते हैं अकबर द ग्रेट. अरे ग्रेट कैसे मेजर करोगे तुम? कैन यू क्वांटिफाई ग्रेटनेस ऑफ अकबर? नो. इस लिखते हैं वैदिक पीरियड इज द गोल्डन एज ऑफ इंडियन हिस्ट्री. अरे गोल्ड कैसे? सबका घर में सोना था क्या? इधर वैल्यू जजमेंट. So therefore history makes value judgment. Political philosophy also makes ambitious family what? Ideology. Communism is the best form of government. Democracy is effective system of administration. Sociology बात नहीं करता है. Sociology goes by facts. Therefore sociology is what? A science. And sociology is nomethetic. कौन बोलते हैं? सारे sociologist इतना पागल नहीं है. Only positivists primarily say that sociology is a science, therefore sociology is nomethetic. आया समझ में? Yes or no? So therefore types of science बताओ. How many kinds of science? Natural science versus social science. Natural science को दो बताया था, तीन कर दिया. Physical science, biological science, mathematical science. Social science, some study specific, समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Other study universal. ठीक है? Across the science, there are two kinds of orientation. One is going for pursuit of knowledge, therefore pure science. Other is going for application, therefore applied science. ठीक है? And finally हम बताए कि कैंट ने बताया there are two kinds of knowledge. One is बोलो. One is statement of fact, other is statement of value. Science studies facts, philosophy studies values. Their orientations are different, therefore they stand opposite to each other. इन्होंने नाम दे दिया. Science goes for nomethetic inquiry, philosophy, history, geography, jurisprudence, culture study. They go for ideographic inquiry. Ideography means study something. सपोज पढ़ो, समझ में आ रहा है कि इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन, तो इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन पढ़ो, पटरी पढ़ो, टाउन प्लानिंग पढ़ो, ड्रेनेज सिस्टम पढ़ो, रिचुअल पढ़ो, पूरा इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन का किताब लिखोगे हिस्ट्री. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? तो सिमिलरली जूरिस्प्रूडेंस, फैमिली लॉ, दो किताब इंडिया का. तो इसलिए स्पेसिफिक तुम सारे पढ़ते हो, इसको यूनिवर्सलाइज नहीं कर सकते हो. देयरफॉर यू आर इडियोग्राफिक. साइंस गोज फॉर लॉ ऑफ ग्रेविटिविटी, दुनिया भर के लिए अप्लाई होगा. P1, B1, P2, V2, all situations you can apply this theory. Study something specific, then develop a generalized, universally applicable theory, science. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? अपुल से शुरू हुआ, लॉ बन गया यूनिवर्सल लॉ, साइंस. इनका इंडस वैली से शुरू, इंडस वैली से खत्म. तो इसीलिए इडियोग्राफिक डिसिप्लिन. आया समझ में? Therefore, nomethetic will be going for quantitative method. Ideographic will be going for qualitative method. Nomethetic will be going for universalization. Idiographic will be going for specific analysis. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? तो इसीलिए ये दो डिसिप्लिन अलग अलग है. But some ambitious sociologists are present who consider sociology साइंस है. इसलिए हमको आइडियोग्राफिक मत बोलो. तो इसलिए हम ऑल्सो हो, वी आर ऑल्सो नोमेथेटिक डिसिप्लिन्स. ठीक है. A debate will be bringing in Max Weber once again. So stop here. ठीक है. So we have discussed now features of science, types of science. ठीक है. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? And how science has been subjected to evolution. तीन चीज पढ़ाया तुमको. फीचर्स ऑफ साइंस पहले पढ़ाया, इसका बाद पढ़ाया इवोल्यूशन ऑफ साइंस, इसका बाद पढ़ाया टाइप्स ऑफ साइंस. अभी तुमसे डिस्कशन करेंगे साइंटिफिक मेथड. टॉपिक का नाम तुम्हारा क्या है? साइंस, साइंटिफिक मेथड एंड क्रिटिक्स टू इट. साइंटिफिक मेथड. मेथड इज व्हाट? मेथड इज व्हाट? अरे मेथड, method is the procedure that you are following while conducting scientific research. ठीक है. When you are conducting scientific research, what procedures you do follow? Science. ठीक है. You know, when you are following scientific procedure while conducting research, first thing what you are supposed to do, फर्स्ट थिंग व्हाट यू आर सपोज टू डू जब साइंटिफिक रिसर्च को कंडक्ट करते हो. पहले क्या करते हो? माइंड इंडिपेंडेंस. ठीक है. पहले तो यू विल बी मेकिंग योर माइंड इंडिपेंडेंट फ्रॉम योर कल्चर, योर इमोशंस, योर वैल्यूज. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? तो माइंड इंडिपेंडेंस और ऑब्जेक्टिविटी इज वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट व्हेन यू आर कंडक्टिंग साइंटिफिक रिसर्च. ठीक है. कोई पर्सनल परसेप्शन में नहीं बताओगे. यू विल नॉट बी हैविंग एनी काइंड ऑफ इमोशनल जजमेंट, कल्चर स्पेसिफिक ओपिनियन about not the conclusion of your research. When you are starting your research, following your research, concluding your research, at no stage of your research you should be having emotional orientation, cultural biasness, ideological inclination. कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए. तो इसको हम बोलते हैं माइंड इंडिपेंडेंस, फ्रीडम फ्रॉम वैल्यू. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? तो माइंड शुड बी इंडिपेंडेंट टू, बोलो, माइंड शुड बी इंडिपेंडेंट टू व्हाट? योर कस्टम, योर कल्चर, योर रिलीजन, योर लाइक्स, योर डिसलाइक्स, योर पर्सनल प्रेफरेंसेस. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स विल बी टेकन आउट ऑफ योर माइंड so that you look at the things as they exist without any biasness. ये पहला चीज चाहिए. दूसरा चीज क्या चाहिए? माइंड इंडिपेंडेंस हो गया. कंट्रोल्ड एनवायरनमेंट साइंटिफिक रिसर्च के लिए चाहिए. सो जो रिसर्च जहां करते हो, दैट सिचुएशन शुड बी प्राइमरली कंट्रोल्ड. जब इसरो वाला बनाते हैं, रॉकेट बनाते हैं, understand not, they should be creating a space which will not be influenced by external impact. Temperature control होके रहेगा. Understanding not? So you want a kind of controlled atmosphere. Suppose a laboratory तुम बना रहे हो, laboratory should be primarily controlled from external atmosphere. Noise control रहेगा, other kind of radiational elements should not be there. So बहुत सारे control situation को करके you can primarily make experimentation. ठीक है. सो ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ बैरियर्स, फिजिकल बैरियर्स रहेगा, टेक्नोलॉजिकल बैरियर्स रहेगा, ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन नहीं होगा. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? सो रिसर्च एनवायरनमेंट शुड बी एब्सोल्युटली कंट्रोल्ड. ठीक है. कोई एक्सटर्नल इन्फ्लुएंस होके तुम्हारा डाटा को स्पॉइल ना करे, रिजल्ट को डिस्टर्ब ना करे. So all possible precautions you'll be taking at every stage of your research. ठीक है, पहले रिसर्चर का माइंड इंडिपेंडेंस होना है, देन कंट्रोल्ड सिचुएशन में रिसर्च करना है. अंडरस्टैंडिंग नॉट? दो चीज होना चाहिए. ये दो चीज होने का बाद जो सारे पढ़ाया था तुमको, व्हाट इज द थर्ड थिंग यू नीड व्हेन यू आर गोइंग फॉर साइंटिफिक रिसर्च? When you are conducting scientific research, what most important thing you have to do? You must have to primarily go by facts. जो बता रहा था तुम, empirically verifiable observations. And in every stage of your scientific research, you should go for self scrutiny. ठीक हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है, समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? The chemical compounds I am using, are they going in appropriate proportion or not? So self scrutiny, बार बार you are scrutinizing your act. Honestly not. So therefore, when you are arriving at a result, at that time, you should be sure about the procedure you have followed. With authenticity, you can say, this is the conclusion I have arrived at. ठीक है, तो क्या क्या फॉलो करना है? फर्स्ट इज माइंड इंडिपेंडेंस को फॉलो करना है. सेकेंड क्या फॉलो करना है? कंट्रोल द एनवायरमेंट वेयर रिसर्च इज बीइंग कंडक्टेड. ठीक है. तीसरा क्या है? यू हैव टू ऑलवेज गो बाय फैक्ट्स. व्हाट यू स्पीक दैट शुड बी सपोर्टेड बाय फैक्ट्स. फैक्ट का बिना बात नहीं करोगे. एंड कंटिन्यूअस सेल्फ स्क्रूटिनी. अंडरस्टैंडिंग नॉट? ये चार चीज तुम्हारा होना चाहिए. Only then the conclusion you are primarily deriving from out of your research, that will be objective in character. Therefore, objectivity is the goal of science. Objectivity means what? Non-empathetic, fact-based conclusion you are getting from out of your research. Fact-based, non-empathetic, समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Value neutral result. That is objective. ठीक है. Therefore, what is the essence of scientific method? बताओ मेरे को, बोलते जाओ दोबारा. फर्स्ट इज माइंड इंडिपेंडेंस. सेकेंड, बोलते जाओ, मैं नहीं बोलूंगा, तुम बोलो. फर्स्ट इज माइंड इंडिपेंडेंस. सेकेंड इज फैक्ट्स. थर्ड इज कंट्रोल एनवायरमेंट. फोर्थ इज सेल्फ स्क्रूटिनी, रेगुलर स्क्रूटिनी. एंड अल्टीमेटली यू आर अराइविंग एट ऑब्जेक्टिविटी. These are the essential elements of scientific method. ठीक है. अभी साइंटिफिक रिसर्च हाउ वी शुड कंडक्ट, व्हाट आर द स्टेप्स ऑफ साइंटिफिक रिसर्च. ये हो गया वैल्यूज ऑफ साइंटिफिक रिसर्च, एसेंस ऑफ साइंटिफिक रिसर्च. ठीक है. बताओ व्हाट आर द स्टेप्स वी शुड टेक. अरे प्रफुल्ल, तुम कर क्या रहे हो? If we say sociology is a value free science, are we saying that sociology is nomethetic? There is a big debate में स्टेप बाय स्टेप जा रहा हूं, तुम भाग रहे हो आगे. वेबर टेल्स वैल्यू फ्रीडम के ऊपर वेबर बात करता है. नोमेथेटिक इडियोग्राफ का डिस्कशन है. जो बोल रहा हूं वही सुनो. आगे बोल के कंफ्यूज करोगे, फिर कल इतना बड़ा लिखोगे, सर ये क्या हो गया, इडियोग्राफी क्या है, नोमेथेटिक क्या है. सुनोगे तो सारे समझ में आएगा. सो लुक एट दिस थिंग केयरफुली. नाउ लेट अस लुक इनटू व्हाट आर द प्रोसीजर्स वी शुड फॉलो साइंटिफिक मेथड. ठीक है. If I am asking you to conduct a scientific study on anything, suppose I am asking you to conduct a scientific study on why people are aging. सक्षम, तुमको दिया टॉपिक, क्या करोगे बताओ? पहले क्या करोगे? वेरी गुड आयुष. फर्स्ट विल बी गोइंग फॉर आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ रिसर्च. तुमको मास्टर ने टॉपिक दे दिया. ठीक है. साइंटिफिक एनालिसिस ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ एजिंग, ये तुम्हारा टॉपिक हो गया. सो एनी साइंटिफिक रिसर्च यू गो फॉर, फर्स्ट थिंग यू हैव टू डू इज आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ रिसर्च. ठीक है. सेकेंड स्टेज में क्या करोगे? सेकेंड स्टेज में क्या करोगे? Are you the first person to study this problem? Or before you, many other people have also studied same problem? Bolo. Many people before you, they have also conducted research. And the outcome of their research are published in the form of book, published in the form of articles. So you have to go through your primarily what? Literature. तो सेकेंड स्टेज ऑफ साइंटिफिक रिसर्च में क्या करते हो? रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर. वेरी गुड स्नेहा. सो सेकेंड स्टेज में यू गो फॉर रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर. फर्स्ट स्टेज में क्या हुआ? यू गो फॉर आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ रिसर्च. सेकेंड स्टेज यू गो फॉर रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर. थर्ड स्टेज में क्या करोगे? थर्ड स्टेज में क्या करोगे? थर्ड स्टेज में क्या करोगे? एक रिसर्च डिजाइन बनाओगे. वेरी गुड. यू हैव टू मेक ए रिसर्च डिजाइन. ठीक है. तो व्हाट ऑल फैक्टर्स आई एम गोइंग टू टेक इनटू कंसिडरेशन. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? व्हाट काइंड ऑफ मेथड आई बी यूजिंग टू कलेक्ट डाटा. तो ये सर एक डिजाइन, रिसर्च डिजाइन बनाओगे. देन रिसर्च डिजाइन इज ए प्रपोज्ड मॉडल. ठीक है. देन क्या करोगे? यू विल बी कंस्ट्रक्टिंग हाइपोथेसिस. वेरी गुड. ठीक है. हाइपोथेसिस में पहले लिखोगे. क्या लिखोगे? एजिंग इज ए नेचुरल प्रोसेस. When people are aging, these are the deficiencies we may find out in human body. This is how cells are primarily changing. मैं तो साइंस का स्टूडेंट नहीं हूं. 5-7 हाइपोथेसिस बनाओगे. हाइपोथेसिस इज ए टेंटेटिव जनरलाइजेशन. तुम जनरलाइज करते हो थ्रू रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर. यू गेट सम आइडिया and you are primarily putting this idea in terms of hypothesis. Hypothesis is a body of assumptions, logical assumptions. ठीक है. So you are thinking that these may be the factors which are leading to aging. ठीक है. There is change in the human cells. Protein is primarily there or not or reduced. ये सारी चीज बताओगे जो साइंस से तुम पढ़े हो. तो you make some hypothesis. Then you are going for collection of data. स्टेप बाय स्टेप बताओ. नीचे से जो बताया तुमको. फर्स्ट इज आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ रिसर्च. देन यू आर गोइंग फॉर रिव्यू ऑफ लिटरेचर. देन यू आर गोइंग फॉर आगे क्या करते हो? रिसर्च डिजाइन बनाते हो. सो टेंटेटिवली हाउ योर रिसर्च इज गोइंग टू लुक लाइक. Then on the basis of the data or the information you have got through literature review, you are developing hypothesis. Some information you are getting from literature, other primarily are coming from your mind. On the basis of that, pansat hypothesis banate ho. Means these things should be present, understand not, in the reality. Then you are collecting data. Aging men, aging women, sample ले रहे हो. इंडिया में पीपुल एजिंग, यूरोप में पीपुल एजिंग, ट्राइबल सोसाइटी में पीपुल एजिंग. हाउ एजिंग इज डिफरेंट. व्हाई सम पीपुल लिव फॉर मोर देन 100 years, अदर्स आर डाइंग प्रीमेच्योर यंग. क्यों हो रहा है? ये सारे डाटा तुम सैंपलिंग करके यू आर कलेक्टिंग द डाटा. ठीक है. समझ में आ रहा है? फिर क्या करोगे? क्लासिफाइंग दिस डाटा. ठीक है. इंडियन डाटा ये है, अंडमान के से ये डाटा लिया है, अमेरिका से ये डाटा लिया है. जेंडर एंड एजिंग समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा? एज एंड एज फैक्टर, अंडरस्टैंड नॉट. बायोलॉजिकल एज एंड एजिंग. सो ये सारे फैक्टर तुम डाटा क्लासिफाई कर दिए. रेस एंड एजिंग. सो डाटा सारे क्लासिफिकेशन हो गया. देन यू आर टेस्टिंग योर हाइपोथेसिस अगेंस्ट द फैक्ट्स. जो हाइपोथेसिस बनाया था, दैट हाइपोथेसिस यू आर टेस्टिंग अगेंस्ट द फैक्ट्स. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Then you are testing this data against, testing these primarily facts, testing hypothesis against what? Facts. And once that is done, then you are going for interpretation of data. Data interpret कर रहे हो. And interpretation के बाद क्या करोगे? You go for presentation of data. How you will be going for presentation of data? Bolo. You'll be making tables. You'll be making graphs. You'll be making pie charts. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Regressional analysis. So जितना सारे scientific statistical procedure है, you'll be using that to primarily present your facts. Understanding or not? And when you are presenting the facts, you develop a theory, otherwise data will be primarily spilling out. So you develop general laws or theory to explain the facts. ठीक है? तो what are the steps of scientific research? एक एक करके बताओ. Identification of the problem of research, followed by what? A review of literature. Then you go for what? Review of literature का बाद research design. Then you are going for what? Hypothesis construction. Then you are going for collection of data. Then you are looking into what? Then you are looking into what? Data authentic or not, इसको test करोगे. Then you go for classification. Then after classification of data, you go for interpretation of data. Then testing hypothesis against the data or the facts. Then general laws or theories you are developing, then you give presentation. These are the steps of scientific research. कोई बोल रहा था poverty, how we are going to study by using this scientific method. बोलो. When you are going to study poverty, you can look into area and poverty. मैं इंडिया का पॉवर्टी स्टडी कर रहा हूं. कास्ट एंड पॉवर्टी, एथनिसिटी एंड पॉवर्टी, टेरिटोरियलिटी एंड पॉवर्टी. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? एजुकेशन एंड पॉवर्टी. सो दीज वेरिएबल्स आई कैन टेक. एंड हाइपोथेसिस क्या होगा? Poverty is more intensive in case of rural areas than urban areas. One hypothesis. Women suffer from poverty more as against primarily whom? Men. There is a direct correspondence between primarily your skill and education with that of what? Poverty. 5-7 hypothesis बनाऊंगा. Data collection करूंगा. Testing this primarily hypothesis against facts. Problem क्या है इसमें? आया समझ में? So these are the steps of scientific method. ठीक है? साइंस हो गया, इवोल्यूशन ऑफ साइंस हो गया, फीचर्स ऑफ साइंस हो गया, टाइप्स ऑफ साइंस हो गया, साइंटिफिक मेथड हो गया. एक क्वेश्चन कभी कभी आ जाता है, एथोस ऑफ साइंस थोड़ा सा पढ़ा देता हूं. एथोस ऑफ साइंस, दिस कॉन्सेप्ट is forwarded by रॉबर्ट के मॉर्टन. ठीक है? Robert Morton speaks about ethos of science soon after Second World War. Here he is talking about how science is drifted away from its ethos. Ethos को तुम ethics भी बोल सकते हो. तो how science is deviated from its goal. Understand not? How science is deviating from its prime orientations and goals. So science was made for what, and what the hell science is doing today. He's discussing that in his article, Ethos of Science. He tells ethos of science is kudos. C for communalism. U is for D for disinterestedness, organized skepticism. These are the features of science. Sorry, ethos of science. So ethos of science is what? Kudos. Short note आएगा तो इसको छाप दोगे पूरा. Ethos of science means the essence of science, the goals of science, the principles of science, the morals of science, the values of science. Ethos. ठीक है? Ethos is what? Moral, values, essentiality, goal of science. And the ethos of science are C, communalism. Communalism क्या है? हिंदू मुसलमान कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, कम्युनलिज्म. बोलो. व्हाट इज कम्युनलिज्म? आस्था बोलो, व्हाट इज कम्युनलिज्म? क्या है? Communalism means scientists do constitute a community. साइंटिस्ट का अपना देश नहीं होता है. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं रहा है? Scientists of the world constitute a knowledge community. Therefore, what I am researching on that an American scientist can give input. Russian scientists should give input. Therefore, scientists should be behaving as a community. हो क्या रहा है? Indian scientists are making weapons for India. American scientists are making weapons for America, which can be sold in the world market. Therefore, scientists are divided on the basis of nationality. Scientists are working for different organizations so that they can make profit by using scientific inventions. फ्रांस का साइंटिस्ट बना दिए राफेल, इंडिया को बोले ले खरीद ले, and we paid a lot of money to buy their science product of science. ये नहीं होना चाहिए. Scientists should operate as what? A community, and they should be exchanging knowledge with each other. They should contribute to the cause of each other. But that is what is missing out. Community means what? What is the definition of community? Suppose I say teachers community, doctors community. Community means what? A group of people, those who are sharing common emotions, common profession, common ideals. So scientists in that way should be constituting a community. Exchange of knowledge, sharing views, continuous research, collaboration. So that should be the spirit of science. And that is missing out. Okay? And when the ethos of science is missing out, science can produce disaster. When science is following the ethos of science, it can primarily illuminate human lives. Therefore, science is not good or science is not bad. How you are pursuing the ethos of science, that is what is important. समझ में आया? Yes or no? The first feature of science is communalism. Second is universalism. ये क्या है? बोलो क्या? यूनिवर्सलिज्म क्या है? बोलो. एकतावाद. एक नॉर्मन बोरुंग करके एक आदमी थे. बोरुंग नाम सुने हो? हाँ, साइंस फॉर ऑल. तुम ये भाषण तो बड़ा देते हो. नॉर्मन बोरुंग का नाम सुने हो? हु इज द फादर ऑफ ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन? मतलब मेक्सिकन साइंटिस्ट कोई था एक आदमी, ओंडर व्हीट इन्वेंट किया था. एम.एस. स्वामीनाथन अंकित है. एम.एस. स्वामीनाथन कमिटी का बात कर रहा है. नॉर्मन बोरुंग इज प्राइमरली द फादर ऑफ ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन. एक मेक्सिकन साइंट, हाँ सही लिखा है, अजय सही लिखा है, BORLAUG, नॉर्मन बोरुंग. So he is primarily a Mexican scientist who discovered wonder wheat. Into 2 to 3 months primarily time, it will be giving you production 30-40 times more than conventional wheat. So he invented it. ठीक है? कौन सा साइंटिस्ट? मैक्सिकन. बेनिफिट मिला किसको? पंजाब हरियाणा फार्मर को. Therefore science is what? अरे बोलो. Science and its products inventions are meant for universal use. आजकल सत्यानाश चलता है, पैटेंट मेरा है, अरे तुम्हारा क्या है? Science should be open to public use. Therefore, science is a public property. Product of science is a public property. But nowadays, we are primarily personalizing science and its products. ये पेटेंट रिजिम का जो बात कर रहे हो, तो साइंस इज प्रोड्यूसिंग कमोडिटी व्हिच इज प्राइमरली सोल्ड इन द मार्केट फॉर ए प्राइस. तो इसीलिए आज का डेट में तुम देखते हो फाइजर इंडिया नहीं आऊंगा, जॉनसन जॉनसन नहीं आऊंगा, आऊंगा तो इतना पैसा मेरे को चाहिए. सो देयरफॉर साइंस इज गिविंग राइज टू डिवीजन ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. ये डिजिटल डिवाइड नहीं है. So science is bringing a great division of this world. Therefore, third world countries, एक कोई लेक्चर में मैंने बताया था, where there is science, where there is technology, there is development, they call themselves as modern. Where less of science, less of material development, those countries are called as backward. Therefore, science is becoming a measuring rod to define which societies are progressive and modern and which societies are traditional and backward. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? सो देयरफॉर एथोस ऑफ साइंस इज दैट साइंस किसका बाप का प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है. साइंस इज ए काइंड ऑफ नॉलेज. इट इज मेंट फॉर ह्यूमन हैप्पीनेस, ह्यूमन वेलबींग. देयरफॉर इसको अप्रोच क्या होना चाहिए? यूनिवर्सल अप्रोच होना चाहिए. अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज नॉट. सेकेंड इज डिसइंटरेस्टेडनेस. जितना पुराना सारे साइंटिस्ट देखोगे पिक्चर उनका क्या दिखाई देगा? पुराना क्यों, नया साइंटिस्ट को देखोगे तुम, नोबेल प्राइज जिसको सर मिलता है, जो सर ग्रेट इन्वेंटर्स, समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? कोपरनिकस देखो, गैलीलियो देखो, न्यूटन देखो, और उसमें स्टीफन हॉकिंस देखो. हाँ, दाढ़ी रखे हुए हैं, अंडरस्टैंड नॉट, लॉन्ग हेयर, डिसइंटरेस्टेड है वो, गाड़ी किसका पास कितना है, किसका पास क्या है नहीं है, ब्रांडेड क्लोथ है कि नहीं है, अपना क्लोथ में पहन के दे आर बिजी इन साइंटिफिक लैबोरेटरी डूइंग समथिंग और द अदर, सो मच एनग्रोस्ड विद देयर वर्क. यस, सो साइंटिस्ट आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन वर्ल्डली अफेयर्स. दे परस्यू नॉलेज, सेलिब्रेट नॉलेज and live in the world of knowledge. And when they invent something and that is primarily bringing transformation in man's life, there they get ultimate happiness. So this is the character of the scientist, disinterested in worldly pleasure. आज का डेट में बायोडाटा में लिखते हैं, आई हैव 56 पैटेंट्स. बड़ा साइंटिस्ट है. मीन्स पैटेंट मतलब क्या हुआ? 56 इन्वेंशंस व्हिच शुड हैव बीन यूनिवर्सलाइज्ड, मैंने इसको अपना बना दिया, पॉकेट में रख दिया, प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी बना दिया. Therefore, I am great. Understand not? In return on these patents, you are selling to primarily pharmaceutical companies. And they are giving you primarily huge money. ब्रिटेन में तुम देखोगे आज का डेट में साइंटिस्ट आर दी प्राइमरली रिचेस्ट पीपल, because they are primarily, taking patents on their inventions, selling that in the market, making big wealth. So therefore, capitalism has entered into the heads and hearts of the society and the people. इसलिए मैं बोलता हूं, nothing is sacred anymore. That what was sacred is perishing into air just like vapor. कोई चीज sacred नहीं है. Life-saving drugs made by scientists are now also patented. Therefore, unless you give me money, let the people die. But I will not be giving permission that one country should be using my patent. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं रहा है? All that was sacred. अरे एक मदर टेरेसा को देखो, to serve the people who are suffering from leprosy, she lived in India and sacrificed her life. इसको बोलते हैं sacred. But there are scientists today who has cure to different kinds of disease but they see that people are dying, but they are not primarily giving their patent and permission to other countries to save their life. So कोई चीज sacred नहीं है आज का डेट में. Everything sacred is disappearing into air, just like what? Profane, ordinary. ठीक है? Organized skepticism क्या है? Organized skepticism क्या है? Scientists will be questioning to all kinds of products, all kind of outcomes of science. तुमने कुछ इन्वेंट किया, इसके ऊपर आर्टिकल लिख दिया, सारे देखेंगे, अच्छा हाउ दिस कैन बी पॉसिबल. Nobody will be accepting to your findings in terms of its face value. They all will be asking question, how can this be possible? Can it be possible? In an organized way, they'll be grilling you, conduct seminars, discuss and deliberate on primary outcomes of your research. If everybody agrees with the result, then truth is established. Therefore, organized skepticism. Skepticism means what? Questioning, doubt. So therefore, scientific truth, scientific outcomes of scientific research is subjected to scrutiny, collective scrutiny. So you have to satisfy to the question of all your colleagues, those who are experts in the same field, that your findings are based upon data. Understand not? If you can convince them, then your result is authenticated. Ethos of science. आजकल क्या हो रहा है? रामदेव भी बोल रहे हैं, we have done trial on 120 patients, those who are in Patanjali hospital, to find out coronil is the effective medicine for corona. कहाँ है organized skepticism? Are you know the story or not? Ramdev, जो Patanjali Ayurvedic Center, that found out a herbal drug called as coronil. पढ़ रहे हो न्यूज़पेपर कि नहीं पढ़ रहे हो? डॉक्टर का रामदेव का साथ जो लड़ाई हुआ था अभी, अरे क्या यूपीएससी करोगे तुम? रामदेव, Patanjali the great. So he said, doctors, so many doctors are dying. They do not know anything. I know cure to corona. So government should be primarily buying my medicine. Drama कर रहा था. हाँ, doctor file FIR. So, look at this thing. Science should be primarily subjected to what? Organized skepticism. So when you are becoming skeptical to his product, he is going for political support. Understanding or not? Therefore, spirit of science is being butchered by capitalism. Spirit of science is greatly butchered by the hegemonistic linkage developing between capitalist on the one hand and the custodian of the state on the other. Therefore, science is becoming the private property of either state or the corporates. Therefore, using scientific knowledge, they are making medicines, they are making warheads, समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Selling that in the global market and accumulating profit. Therefore, Morton is worried. So therefore, the ethos of science is always forgotten. Disinterested means scientists are not interested. Yes, you can write it. So scientists are not interested in worldly comfort, worldly pleasure. They are only engaged in celebration of knowledge. So that is missing out nowadays. इसे लोग बोलते हैं, कहाँ नौकरी कर रहे हो? ना, मैं चीफ साइंटिस्ट इन रानबाग से, मेरा एक दोस्त है, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट है कई कंपनी का, अभी नाम चेंज हो गया. जब भी देखो फॉरेस्ट में घूमता रहता है. He is into medicine. I said, what the hell you have been doing? Glenn Marks, right? He says, no, we are inventing new kind of medicine for this disease and that disease. I said, we means who? You are primarily selling your scientific knowledge to a private company who is interested in profit. Therefore, your drug will be patented, sold in the market. Price will be high. Rich people can afford to buy it. So you are enslaved to a capitalist or you are engaged in social welfare. Yeah. So scientists are interested in quality life. Scientists are selling their skill like a commodity in the market, as a result of which you'll be finding out what the basic ethos and purpose of science is lost. इसको लिख सकते हो ऐसे में, व्हाट साइंस वाज दैट साइंस इज नॉट। गैलीलियो कभी नहीं सोचा था साइंस का ये दुर्दशा होगा। न्यूटन कभी नहीं सोचे थे उनका प्यारा सा बच्चा ये हालत करेगा। Therefore, had they been alive today, so they should have committed suicide. They could have committed suicide. That the purpose for which we have primarily went for science, that purpose is defeated. So science has lost to capitalism. आया समझ में विद्वान लोग? चलो आगे बढ़ो। कहाँ गया? Now let us look into criticism to scientific method. Criticism to scientific method. Science and scientific method. Scientific method का क्यों? Criticism to science. Scientific method काट दो. Criticism to science. जैक्यूस बर्जुन, उल्टा हो गया। ये इधर आएगा, आर इधर आएगा। कहाँ गया? इनका होता है कुछ। जैक्यूस बर्जुन, ठीक है, बोलते हैं साइंस इज ए फॉर्म ऑफ न्यू डिविनेशन, डिविनिशन, डिवाइन। साइंस इज ए न्यू फॉर्म ऑफ डिविनिशन। इसका मीनिंग क्या है? साइंस इज इवॉल्विंग इनटू न्यू डिवाइन, मीन्स न्यू गॉड। ठीक है, न्यू गॉड में क्यों बोल रहा हूं? हाँ, डिविनेशन, ठीक है। DIVINATION. Science is evolving into a new kind of divination. क्यों? Why science is new God? बोलो। Wherever you go, you find out reference is given about science. Attraction का क्वेश्चन नहीं है। You go to a hospital, doctor will be asking about all kinds of tests. And at the end of the day, when he diagnoses the disease, looking into all MRI, this, that, blood reports सारे देख के बताएगा, हाँ, you have cold and cough. कोल्ड कफ को एस्टैब्लिश करने के लिए 525 टेस्ट करवाएगा कोरोना टाइम। फास्ट तो बोलेगा ये कर लो, कोरोना टेस्ट करवा लो, फिर ब्लड टेस्ट करो, फिर एलर्जी टेस्ट करो, ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ टेस्ट विल बी डन एंड अल्टीमेटली ही विल बी टेलिंग दैट यू आर सफरिंग फ्रॉम फ्लू। मेरे साथ हुआ एक बार, व्हेन आई वाज ए स्टूडेंट लाइक यू, so all of a sudden I was watching TV in the hostel and I found out I'm not able to see properly through one of my eye. And at that point of time, All India Institute were the best. So I came to All India Institute. They called me 6 to 7 times and did all possible kind of tests. Dark room test, this test, that test. I got a feeling that there is some big problem in my eye. When investigation was done, ultimately told, minus 2.5 power is being increased, change your glasses. The hardship, the horror, the agony, the tension I have gone through, all are the making of science. Therefore, from that day onwards, I realized if I ever become a teacher, instead of celebrating science, I'll be questioning to science. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Everywhere there is science. आज का डेट में तुम लड़का लड़कियों से बैठे हो, सारे बोलते हैं, you know, my daughter also tells his doctor, Papa, you must be minding your food. मैं food का mind क्या करना है? Food is food. What you love to eat, you eat it. तो mind your food. इतना सुगर खाना है, इतना ये नहीं खाना है, इतना ये नहीं खाना है. If you take more calorie, this will be the result. सत्यानाश. there is also science. How much you should eat, there is also science. Understanding or not? Science is present everywhere. So therefore, freedom is absolutely lost. Human freedom is absolutely lost. I cannot choose my food, science will decide it. I cannot decide whether I should be vaccinated or not, science will decide it. Understanding or not? And आजकल हो गया, yoga is also a science. वो भी अपना था कल्चर प्रोडक्ट, इसको भी साइंस बना दिया है. Understanding or not? Everything that has become primarily property of what? Science. Therefore, everything, people don't accept your views unless it is scientifically established. Therefore, monopoly of science. Understanding or not? और तो ये तो सत्यानाश हो गया. Horoscope matching through computers. One area tha that was not infected by science. Computer has also entered there. Horoscope is something, traditional culture. Computer tells, no. Use me to match your primary horoscope. I can primarily say whether matching is perfect or not. Sadi was a pure act. BharatMatrimony.com has primarily colonized over it. कहाँ साइंस नहीं है? The dress you are putting on is designed by primarily what? In a scientific way. Everywhere you go, you find out the presence of science. Therefore, Barjun बोलते हैं, science has evolved into new God. And everybody is primarily what? Worshipping new science or cult of science. But tell me, he was a historian. So he tells, so Barjun साहब बोलते हैं कि भाई देखो, can science so capable to explain everything? बोलो, देता हूं. When many families lost their near and dear ones during Corona, समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Sufferings, pain, that people primarily, tragedy people went through. So that cannot be explained by science. Beauty, aesthetics, happiness cannot be measured by science. Beyond science, there is a world present. And that is more important than science itself. Science may give you money. Science may give you bodily comfort, but science cannot guarantee happiness to you. इसलिए आज का डेट में हम बात करते हैं ग्रॉस नेशनल हैप्पीनेस. Science can be empowering you to threat others, but peace cannot come by science. Science can bring tears in the eyes of the people when you are using different nuclear weapons against them. But science cannot bring their culture and history back to them. Therefore, science is aggressive. Science is monoistic. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? And science is evolving as a threat to humanity. Therefore, either you submit yourself to science or science will be destroying you. This is the situation in which we are living. So therefore, he is primarily offering a critique to science. समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है? Science as a kind of what? Branch of knowledge. And how science is colonizing, bringing sorrows and sufferings in the lives of the people. ठीक है? जाओ और 2-3 क्रिटिसिज्म नेक्स्ट क्लास में देंगे. फिर हम शुरू करेंगे कल पॉजिटिविज्म एंड नॉन पॉजिटिविस्टिक अप्रोच. ठीक है? चलो, थैंक यू.